to the job here this morning. You ever get a little paranoid in your sleep that all the water's going to be out of the pond when you get there? I had that a couple times last night, but luckily it looks like it went down just where I need it to. Actually, it needs to go down just a little bit more. So it's down to about to where it was when I first started the job. So it's gone down about 6 inches last night. I need to go down probably another, I need that water to be about 20 feet past that dock right there, so when I cut that out I don't have it running back in there on top of me. Let's get the machine fired up and finish moving this brush out of the way. So I brought some brush down here to the pile and looked across, and I see the valve sticking out of the water, so I'm not exactly sure if the siphon's actually still running or not. So I'm going to come down here in case I need to dig a hole beside it. If it is still running, I can dig a hole beside it and get it down a little lower. If not, I'm going to have to dig a hole and slide it over and then get it back going, which is going to be even more difficult. So fingers crossed it's still running. We'll know here shortly. I don't see how it really could be running because maybe haven't got close enough yet. Oh, it's still running. Phew. Alright, so I've got to ever so gently dig beside that valve and slide that pipe over. Oh, it's not running, it's barely running. Oh crap, almost got sidetracked, and wouldn't that have sucked? Run right through the cable after I've cleared the whole pond dam and not hit it. Alright, let me get situated. I'm going to try to dig beside that pipe and slide it over so it's deeper in the water. Alright, I'm going to see if I can ever so gently dig down beside this and get it to be a little deeper in the water. Of course, it's right on this log. That actually pushed it a little deeper down. I gotta go slow so I don't like pull all the water away and then it suck air. Make sure that it's still flowing. It's still flowing. Delicate procedures here. I need to get a little of this down right here so that it can go easy. So that it can just kind of slide right over. Just kind of ever so gently push that over and hope the coupler stays on. Please stay on. Alright. As long as that's still working, we're going to leave it alone. Still flowing. There's some muddy water coming out now, but it's still flowing. Okay, well that should pull it down. I need to go down about 6 more inches. That doesn't sound like a lot, but that'll, as shallow as it is up there, that'll really get the water down this way, because I've only, according to that pipe right there, the pond's only down about 18 or 20 inches. So pretty much what's going to happen is when I put the new overflow in, I'm going to raise the water up higher than that. So that's going to give it, just say I go another, say it's at 20, let's just say it's at 18 inches right now. If I raise it up another 6 inches, that's going to give it 2 more, or another 6. Let's see. Said it was at 18 inches. I raised the new pipe up 6 inches, so that'll be 6 inches higher, and then I dig that out 12 inches or so. So that's going to give about 3 feet of depth up there, and that's a lot better than the 12 inches that is. So So I'm tracking down here to my pile that I transferred down yesterday. And I've honestly found the best way to do it is just reach up there and get a couple grapplefuls and just drag it backwards. I can drag about 2 or 3 times what I can carry, and it also sweeps the ground nice and clean as I drag it back. So I guess it's a kind of a win-win. Just a little cumbersome and it takes a little bit of time, but it is working. I might lose that one right there, but that's okay. Majority of it's coming along as we go. I mean, it just sweeps the ground just as pretty as you could ask for. And then I'm just making a pile back here. So that's 1 grapple full. It gets pretty muddy right there, so I can just go around it and take the rest of that to the pile there. Two grapplefuls. Three. So doing that, I'm able to move 4 times as much versus just grabbing one pile and tracking it down here. And I'm sure 5,000 people are going to ask me why I just don't bring the bulldozer. Well, it's not really practical to bring the bulldozer over here for 2 hours worth of work, if that. And it wouldn't push it either, because I mean this thing weighs almost 60,000 pounds, and that weighs like 25 or 24 or whatever, so it doesn't have the mass to be able to, the weight to be able to push that. It would just be smaller piles. So in the end, it would all take the same amount of time as what I'm doing now. Plus I don't have a whole lot left to do, other than watch the water go down. But I'll be in and out today because we start tearing Betty apart today and figuring out what's going wrong with her. Well, the transmission oil is going into the motor, so something, I'll explain it more in the video, but we're going to be tearing into it, seeing what's going to need to be done. I don't want to do a spoiler alert. That's a spoiler alert, but I won't tell you what all we got to do. It could turn into a major repair, though. Alright, well, let me get all this back here and see how. Finally, all the brush is drugged down here. Where all I've got to do now is put it on the other big pile, and that's it. I swear it took me longer to clean up the brush than it did to clear the whole entire pond. But that's normally how it goes. Let's get this stacked up. It's like a small victory, but all the clearing is now in that giant pile right there in the woods. That ought to be a good shooting backstop. Siphon's still going, and I'm going to have to leave here in a minute and go meet the mechanic to look at the loader. So pretty much done clearing. I think what I'm going to do now is, obviously the siphon still needs to go down some more, or the pond still needs to go down some more, so that needs to stay running. what I'm probably going to do is go up here and put on my grading bucket, and throughout today I'll maybe come down here and start, and I'm just going to reach out in the pond and pull out a scoop or two per pass there and lay it up here on the bank. And we're trying to get some depth just all the way down this shoreline. I'll probably do that today because that'll kind of help pull the water down as I'm digging it out, and lay all that mud up here and let it dry. And tomorrow I should be able to have all day tomorrow to start working on this head section. Well, the loader's going under the knife. Got to figure out exactly what's wrong with it. It's taking all the transmission oil and putting it into the engine, so we're thinking something's wrong with the scavenge pump. It's supposed to pump the transmission fluid out of the torque converter, or the rear main seal's bad. It's building up too much pressure, forcing it into the motor, or what. Somewhere there's a seal or something bad. So we a friend of mine made the safety locking mechanism. Pretty much it was a bolt. He had to make that plate, and that's just a piece of scrap metal because the bolt was too long, and that forced that locking bracket onto this lift pin right here. So it's like an 1.25 inch bolt that goes through there, and that locks it up, and that will pretty much allow the loader arms not to move. So got that good safety feature in place now. Now we're trying to figure out what's the first step to do. Unfortunately, you know, worst case is the whole motor's got to come out, because it's probably easier to take the motor out to replace the rear main seal than to pull the torque converter, which is all up under all that. We shall see. We shall see. All that oil we changed. We get to see it again. I did get 4 hours out of that. So that's the scavenge pump off the torque converter. It pumps the transmission fluid out of the torque converter back into the transmission, correct?
Yes, it is.
And then that's the filter. And we're thinking the scavenge pump might be bad.
Possibly.
Causing all this fluid to have nowhere to go, and that's causing pressure for it to build up and push into the engine. We're trying our
back into the engine.
Say that again.
Said without it being able to remove the transmission oil from the torque converter housing, it's creating positive pressure and pushing transmission oil back into the engine.
Gotcha. So now we're testing the scavenge pump. So you put oil in there, and it's not sucking it.
It's sucking it, but it's not creating enough pressure. I can hold it. I'm holding the oil
on the other end?
On the other side, yes. So there's oil in it. So
all right,
we shall pull the pump apart and see if there's any salvaging it.
If not, a new one's on order, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, that's what makes sense. There's really not a whole lot to it other than the oil can't get out.
Right.
And that's hopefully the reason why. So we took the pump apart, and what are we thinking? That little metal right there, we're thinking that was
not sure yet.
Not sure yet where that come from.
But I think it might be a keyway that went in here.
But it's a gear-driven pump. And what are you thinking?
Just that the housing is worn out and the gears are worn out,
causing it not to create enough suction to get that oil out. So that little sliver of metal was the other half of the keyway?
Appears to be, yes.
Yeah, right there.
Yep.
It's the same length. So that broke off, and that's...
Yeah, I think it just came out.
Yeah.
Yep.
But regardless, everything else is kind of worn.
There you go.
All right, new pump on order tonight. So I think we got Betty figured out. I got to order a scavenge pump for it. Come back over here. I did get the grading bucket put on the excavator. I got to shovel these tracks real quick. It's supposed to get down to 19 tonight, and it's not going to move in the morning if I don't at least knock out around those rollers. And the main reason I come down here was the siphon's still running, and I think the pond is down enough now where I can go ahead and cut it off, because when I dig that shoreline out, it's going to go down more. And it's a shallow pond. It's a shallow pond, so I don't want to suck all the water out of it, and there's not a whole lot left. So I'm supposed to dig out from dock back up, so that's now out of the water, and it shouldn't run back in on me. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this siphon off and come back tomorrow and probably start down here, pull this shoreline back, and lay that mud all the way down the bank right here. And then I may get out here and lay some of that back. So let's go down here and cut the siphon off. Still draining away though. You think about it, that's a lot of water that one pipe right there has moved in a little over 24 hours. I see 24, about 26 hours. It's lowered this whole pond down. God dog, it's cold. Wind, shoot, a foot or more. Whew. It's gonna be a cold one tomorrow. Let me get this adjustable wrench opened up. Be right back. Still got the suction on it. Be 50, blowing 50 miles an hour today. It's done. It got enough air. That's it, folks. All she wrote. Burr. Let that finish draining out. I'm gonna go shovel those tracks, and we're gonna look at fixing the off-road truck. So I'll just come back here in the morning and start working.